I admire Bob Uecker and his career so much. And today he was honored in Milwaukee. Brewers fans obviously considered him part of their family. He called games for generations. I mean, they all grew up with Bob Uecker as the voice of Brewers baseball, but also that he became the most famous person within the organization. He was Bernie Brewer. He was the logo. I mean, there's a statue to him, and Uecker's charisma and sense of humor and zest for life is his legacy. So talk about popular. He was not just a broadcaster calling baseball games, balls and strikes. He was a cultural icon. And what I have incredible respect for when it comes to Bob Uecker and why he resonated so deeply. Most people will not spend their entire professional lives at one job. Almost nobody will. Bob Uecker did. In our industry, the broadcast industry, it almost never happens. He is a dinosaur, a legend, an icon from a different generation because of that. But it wasn't just that his longevity was so amazing. It was that he, despite being a legend, could laugh at himself. Dial up after you're done on this show tonight any of Bob Uecker's performances, appearances on The Tonight Show with Johnny Carson back in the 70s and 80s, and watch a ball player do nothing but make fun of himself. Watch his Hall of Fame speech. This is the highest honor that a baseball player, he was a player, or a broadcaster could possibly have. He's at Cooperstown giving a speech, and it's all about how lousy he was. Not only is that charming, but it says so much about a person when they don't have to remind you about all the good things that they did. When actually they can do the exact opposite to remind you about all the bad things that they did and still be considered a successful hero. Pair that with all of the ego in sports today, all of the ego with players, the ego with so many broadcasters, the ego with so many people on social media trying to prove that they know more, or they're cooler, or they have it all figured out, or you're wrong, they're right. Players, and I don't blame a lot of players for thinking that a lot of the stuff on social media is annoying, ill-informed, etc. But everybody is about proving that they were right. And here's Bob Uecker walking in and saying, I'm the joke. I'm the joke. It is so unbelievable to watch him do that every step of the way while being not only not a joke at his profession, but unbelievably good at the profession. Bob Uecker was a really good actor. Bob Uecker was a really good broadcaster. Bob Uecker was an elite play-by-play guy. And Bob Uecker was an incredible character. Yes, some of that was natural, but he also worked on phrasing and timing and jokes and delivery. This was not just luck of the draw, aw shucks, look what I landed into. He was that good at everything that he did, everything besides playing. And even being bad as a professional baseball player, you still had to be a professional baseball player. Even if you hit 200, as he made fun of himself so often of doing, you still had to make it to the bigs to hit 200 there. I love Bob Uecker because he turned all ego on its ear. Here was a guy that was a legend, and he kept reminding you why he wasn't. Never going to be another like him. Just think he's the best. I remember driving with my family on a summer vacation. We were the classic Griswold family. The Amendos packed into a 1990 Chevy Suburban. And me, my brother, my sister, mom, and dad would take off and drive anywhere. My dad loved driving. We couldn't afford plane tickets, so we just drove. We were driving through Wisconsin one summer. And I said, can I try to find the ball game? This is well before the internet, well before cell phones, well before streaming. And I found the Brewers game. And I just wanted to hear Bob Uecker because I never got a chance to listen to Bob Uecker growing up in New York. When would I ever listen to a Brewers radio broadcast? And I just wanted to hear Uecker. And I remember sitting in the back of the Suburban, huddled next to the speaker because nobody else in the Suburban wanted to listen to Brewers baseball, and just listening to the legend. I'll never forget that. Honor Bob Uecker. He was the man, and I love that Milwaukee loves him as much as they do.